welcome to Archelos. As far as our opening hand goes, yeah, we're going to have to ship that one back. That is a no-lander. So now we're looking at Woodland Cemetery with Ancient Tomb and Life from the Loam. And Noxious, yeah. I think we got to keep on this one. That looks like a beautiful opening hand. We need to put one card on the bottom of our library. So I guess at this point... Actually, I think I'm okay with just putting Dark Depths on the bottom. You know, that's something that we can work towards, but... yeah, I think we're A-okay with that. So let's go and lead off with Woodland Cemetery. That way we will be online for some green mana. That we can get the Life from the Loam going. And then anything else, pass the turn over to our opponent. Playing against Slow Player 1 today, so hopefully we end up with a pretty fun match. Slow Player 1 tends to build a lot of really unique builds. So if they're just rocking Silas as the solo part, well, also 1v1 commander, you can't run partners, so... Anyway, I'm excited to see what Slow Player 1 is assembled for Silas Renn, but let's go and cover our commanders really quick. We're playing Archelos. As long as Archelos is tapped, other permanents enter the battlefield tapped. Sure. They enter the battlefield tapped. As long as Archelos is untapped, other permanents enter the battlefield untapped. And let's go ahead and lead off with... Alright, so we can go for Chromatic Lantern, which does get us ahead on mana, and that kind of puts us in a spot where we can go Life from the Loam and grapple with the pass next turn. I think I do like that. If we don't rip into any sort of mana rock, still probably end up going Life from the Loam, that we can get the dredge going, but I like this. So, anything else past the turn. Playing against Silas Renn. Death Touch. Whenever Silas deals combat damage to a player, choose target artifact card in your graveyard. You may cast this card this turn. So we did cover both commanders. Give a quick shout out to our sponsors, TCG Player. If you go to bit.ly/JoltMTG, you'll be able to visit the Archelos Lagoon and dip your turtle toes into the sand, all by visiting that link. You're going to get some cards and help support the channel at the same time. So there we go. It's just dumb. But also, let's give a quick shout out to MTGOTraders. If you want to play the brand new Commander Legends set online, it is available and they do have it. Also, let's give a quick shout out to inkgaming.com if you'd like to get some gaming or maybe some propane accessories. Well, they don't have the propane accessories yet. Be sure to check them out. inkgaming.com/Jolt. And last but not least, I started a Patreon. So if you'd like to directly support cool content like this, this is beautiful. All right, there's a link down in the description below. But if you're keeping score, it is officially free time, and that is scape shift time. So we've got ourselves a game plan. Let's go for grapple with the past first. I like that. That's going to be green, and then 2 colorless off of Ancient Tomb. If we're both going to be dirtling with the graveyard, I feel like we might be able to assemble something a little bit quicker. Let's go ahead and return Polluted Delta back. Yes, we'll definitely return that back to the hand. Let's make the land drop for the turn, and that's going to work out perfectly. Let's go ahead and crack Polluted Delta. Grab ourselves a black-blue source. There we go. Let's grab ourselves Underground Sea. And let's go for green. Tap down Chromatic Lantern. Oh, excuse me, got one more free. Let's go Life from the Loam on Polluted Delta. Click OK. And then, yes, we are good to go. Anything else, we will pass the turn over there. But yes, it is officially free time. We have made... Let me get over here to my deck sheet. But yes, we did make a couple changes to the deck. We did add, what is it? I know I add, oh yeah, we added Omnixilus in here. We did add Jace the Mind Sculptor, added Teferi, Master of Time. The last couple games I've been playing Archelos. You know, if we have things go right, it works out beautifully. But, you know, sometimes Archelos is kind of slow. It's a commander. You need to get it out there. You need to have protection for it, especially in Archelos' case. And so, I don't know, it just felt like we needed a few more Dirtle options, just kind of value pieces we can set on the battlefield. So, added those in there. Omnixilus is in there too. Other than that, I kept it pretty stock to what it is. You know, I did have a few different, kind of different dredge options in here. I think we did have, oh, what is it? I'm trying to remember what that one, it's Dark Blast. We did have Dark Blast in here. I did kind of back off a few of some of the dredge cards, but for the most part, we're still keeping on that same theme. Now, one of the cool things about Archelos is that if you don't know, with Archelos, you can, you know, stuff like Scape Shift. In the battlefield tapped, as long as Archelos is untapped, hey, you're good to go. That's going to be a lot of free mana, a lot of free real estate. So that's kind of the game plan. Now, if we do end up going for a Scape Shift, we did see Dark Depths in our opening hand. We've got Dark Depths in here. We do have Field of the Dead. So really the payoff card for this deck is Field of the Dead, in addition to something like Scape Shift, which is, if you've never done it, it's a ton of fun. All right, so we run into Triome off of Life from the Loam. Let's make the land drop with Polluted Delta. Yeah, and I think at this point, we're just kind of on the scape shift game plan. So it's going crack polluted delta. We are under a little bit of a clock right now. There's not really a ton of super great artifacts in their graveyard. So we got some time to do some setting up. So let's grab ourselves Bayou. And the way we want to sequence this is, let's go Life from the Loam on Triome and Polluted Delta. And then that way we can go for Thirst for Knowledge. And then Dredge Life from the Loam and still make our... Yeah, I kind of like that. So we do have Noxious Revival too, which is going to work out perfectly with us going for this heavy dredge option. So anything else past the turn. With us, I was just about to say we need a board wipe to deal with any sort of craziness that our opponent does get out there. With us having Noxious Revival, we might end up just putting that on top and then might want to get a few more land drops going before we do that. But if we do end up doing that, that's going to be a great way for us to get rid of both of their value pieces. And so kind of see what else we've got going on. But I do like that. But yeah, I was just about to say one of the benefits of just dredging every single turn is that the graveyard becomes an extension of your hand. And the fact that you end up with Noxious Revival in your hand, on your opening hand, that makes it even that much better. So that's going to be Terrarian on the battlefield. Let's see if they're going to swing in for a 2/2. And I think what we'll do is we'll probably still end up just holding on Noxious Revival, because if they're not getting a ton of, if we do get our life total down a little bit because of, yeah, it was still Overseer. I think that's going to be a pretty good option to go for that. So see if they end up swinging in for 2. Let's go for Ancient Tomb off of Thirst for Knowledge. It's going to be 1/2. And we're going to dredge off of this Thirst for Knowledge. So we're going to dredge one of those. Let's go ahead and discard at this point. I think we'll just go ahead and get rid of Remand. That does not... Actually, we can discard Polluted Delta, and then we'll discard... Let's do this. We'll discard Triome, and we'll discard Life from the Loam. Yeah, perfect. That way we can dredge that, still hold on to Condescend. And with still Overseer out there, yeah, I still think we need to go for Toxic Deluge. So let's go for Noxious Revival on Toxic Deluge. Just put that on top. It still allows us to go for the dredge. Well, actually, we don't want to go for the dredge. Because that'll put Toxic back into the graveyard. But after that, we're going to be able to get the dredge option going. So I'm just going to draw into... no, don't want to do that. I did that at a tournament once. I put my win condition on top of the deck, and then I'm so used to dredging that I dredged my win condition back into the graveyard, and I felt like a fool. That was not a lot of fun. All right, let's tap down Ancient Tomb for 2. Let's go Toxic Deluge, and I think we're simply just going to pay a 2 on this one. Yeah, it's going to clear the board out. If they untap with that Steel Overseer, it's not going to be that good for us, and we also have access to Remand. So let's make the lane drop for the turn. That'll be Polluted Delta. And do we want... Yeah, I mean, we're getting to the point now to where if we get a few extra lanes in the graveyard, we can really take advantage of Archelos. I was thinking about leaving up Remand, but I think I kind of like going for Archelos. It's going to be a 2/4. Silas Renn does have Death Touch, and so that's something that we're not going to be able to block on. But if they get anything else out there, a 2/4 is definitely going to be able to hold them at bay. So we will end up going shields down at this point, but, when you play a Silas Renn deck, they tend to be kind of, not lantern control-ish, but you're running stuff like Terrarian and different things like that. So if we can take the turn off and get down Archelos, that might be to our benefit, and kind of sequence a really nice scape shift. One of the things that has been stuck in my head, and I'll toss this out there that way if any of you have some ideas about how I could implement this, but with Archelos, something like scape shift, we're going to be able to bring all those lands onto the battlefield once you sacrifice them untapped. We also do have Splendid Reclamation, which is going to suck all the graveyards out of the graveyard onto the battlefield untapped too with Archelos. So it's almost kind of like I want to do some sort of Sultai Storm, because you end up with all this free mana, but I don't know if that would work. I mean, because it's hard enough sometimes to kind of get enough cards going into the graveyard, but I could see where if you could set up something like Traumatize, dump half your library into the graveyard. I don't know. If anybody's done anything like that, or if you have any sort of Archelos builds that you've had outside of, just kind of something like this that's a little bit more kind of land focused, let me know. Let me know in the comments. It's always fun to kind of change things up. And that is going to be Demonic Tutor. But yes, with the MTGO partners, since our opponent is playing Silas Renn, unfortunately, I play 1v1 Commander. It's not unfortunate, but unfortunately, in 1v1 Commander, they have the partner ability banned. And so I've been tweeting at people that work for Magic Online randomly just to kind of see if we could get that partner ban list lifted. I mean, that would be a lot of fun. They banned partners 2 years ago when they were trying to turn 1v1 Commander into like kind of like a tournament format. And so the format went into a pretty not a very fun place. They banned a lot of good stuff. They banned Demonic Tutor, Vampiric Tutor, Mystical Tutor, Enlightened Tutor, just a lot of the good commander staples that you run in a lot of decks. They banned them all, and they just kept banning cards until they could try to balance the format, and they could never get it balanced. And then they unbanned everything that they had banned, got it pretty close to the regular commander list, the ban list, and then for some reason they just tossed in Primetime and build and banned Sylvan Library. So I have no clue the decision behind that. But anyway, long story short, I've been trying to get in touch with somebody at MTGO to, hey, let us have partners back. That might be kind of fun. So there we go. All right, so going to Dredge Life from the Loam. We do have at least 2 lanes in the graveyard. That's going to be Opulent Palace. So we are looking at 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. The magic number for Scapeshift Zombie is going to be 7. And so I still think we just end up going Life from the Loam on this one. It's going to keep us open on Remand and Condescend, depending on what they end up going for. So let's grab Triumph, let's grab Marsh Flats, and we're just going to grab, actually we'll leave Opulent Palace. No, we can go and take Opulent Palace, why not? We'll just go and put it in the hand, that way we have access to it. Let's drop in Triumph, and actually if we want to, we can drop in Opulent Palace. And yes, we will have that untapped, excuse me, because Archelos is untapped, and then anything else past the turn. Yeah, I always forget about that ability sometimes. It's such a nice effect, but it's kind of like, I know I read the commander, and I know it has certain effects, but like, I am so not used to playing with an untap effect that enters the battlefield untapped, that like my brain, like the front part of my brain when I'm, shortcutting, lines of play that we're going for, trying to deliver commentary, it's just never in the front queue of, oh yeah, do that. So anyway, we get to enter the battlefield with the Tri-Land with Opulent Palace, so that's another cool thing. Now, if you are thinking about building Archelos, I will say this, that if you are going to run a lot of, let's see, whenever it attacks, discard a card, target creature, it's going to be a 3/2. Do we want to send that into the Remand Zone? I think that might sound like a pretty good option. That'll be a card draw, that'll be Life from the Loam. And actually, if we're trying to go for Field of the Dead, we might not dredge on Life from the Loam on this one. We've got the land drops to go for this Scape Shift, so I think that'll work out. So we're not going to dredge Life from the Loam, run into Fabled Passage. That still keeps us open on Condescend to grab something else. And then Wellspring. It's going to be additional card draw. Yeah, we can let that go on through. So there we go. So we're still ended up with the Triumph Cycle. Yeah, because I just now realized if we end up dredging Field of the Dead into the graveyard, that's not going to work out really well with Scape Shift. So it's going to be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yeah, and the next turn is going to be the Fabled Land Drop. So let's go and cycle Triumph. And we can also get away with not using Ancient Tomb on this one, which will really help out. So there we go. All right, so we're going to cycle Triumph. Then we run into Wasteland, which, that's okay. Against our opponent's board state. So we're not going to dredge Life from the Loam. Rip into Thassa's Intervention. And yeah, I think we just end up going Scape Shift on this. I think that'll work out. So let's make the lane drop. That's going to be Scape Shift. And let's add our mana to the mana pool first. So let's tap down for Scape Shift. And we do have Thassa's Intervention. So let's just go and make sure that we do add at least double blue to this. And we're going to add double green. Yeah, I think we just go 2 on Ancient Tomb on this. Yeah, I like this. So there we go. Let's tap down one more blue. Let's go for Scape Shift. Oh, that is just absolutely beautiful. So let's go and grab our lane package. That is definitely going to be okay, there we go. So let's go ahead and get these Field of the Dead triggers, and we'll talk about what we grabbed here in just a second. So let's go and click OK, and we're already looking at a Dark Depths from our opponent. One of the good things about this is that we can just go for the Dark Depths activation on our opponent's turn. So let's go and get these zombies on the battlefield, and we're still going to end up with a very nice Thassa's Intervention. Now, if we want to hold off on it, we can. Because we can use this extra mana to dig for a couple extra cards, but that's going to cut us off any sort of counter spell. If we're looking at something like Cyclonic Rift, yeah, I still think we end up doing this just to kind of showcase what is possible. So let's go for a Thassa's Intervention. There we go. So Thassa's Intervention for 6. We're going to look at the top 6 cards of our library, see if we want to grab 2 of them, and then put the rest on the bottoms. It's going to be Zuri's Predation. Ooh, Demonic Tutor. Yes, I like that. So let's go and grab Demonic Tutor. And just in case things get nutty, let's go and grab a Zuri's Predation. That's going to be a very good option for us. So there we go. Anything else? We will pass the turn. So now if we do end up going for Survivor's Encampment, we can tap down Archelos during their upkeep. I think that'll be a pretty good option. So let's do that. So during their upkeep, we're going to go for the Survivor's Encampment. Tap an untapped creature that can control, add blue mana to your mana pool. There we go. Click OK. That's going to make sure that everything else enters the battlefield tapped. Now, with us having Demonic Tutor, and we'll talk about what we can do with that. So at this point in the game, we've got a lot of stuff in the graveyard. One of the ways that you can win with Archelos is by having these zombies enter the battlefield. There's a beautiful card called Rise from the Tides, which is going to be create a 2/2 black zombie creature token for each instant or sorcery card in your graveyard. So if we end up demonic tutoring for Rise from the Tides, we're looking at 1, 2, 3 with Demonic Tutor. 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. So with this kind of being a Sultai Spellslinger deck, so you're looking at different things like this. We've got Scape Shift. We got to dump 7 2/2 zombies on the battlefield. If we didn't have Scape Shift, we could try to Demonic Tutor for Rise from the Tides. This is one of the cool things about Archelos is that it's going to allow you to end up with Scape Shift, end up with these zombies on the battlefield, and at the same time, if you just tap down for that extra mana, having like a value piece like Thassa's Intervention to dig into something else that helps you win the game, that's some wonderful Sultai value. So, unfortunately, we didn't get to see a good showing from our opponent on Silas Renn, but hey, getting the Scape Shift Field of the Dead zombies going, that is a beautiful thing in Commander. In fact, if you enjoyed the video, hey, like and subscribe. Thanks. Bye.